Last night we talked about change. You know, if you look at the world around us, we're constantly changing. I mean, we live in an ever-changing environment. I mean, technology, oh my gosh, it is constantly changing. I mean, every day something new is coming out, and just things are just changing all around us. Change is a huge part of just the human life. And for most parts, we're okay with change. As long as it is change that we like, or it's a change that we want, we're okay with change. But when it comes spiritually, when it comes to change spiritually, a lot of us, we struggle. Actually, a lot of us, we put ourselves in an invisible prison. Kind of like we talked about last night, you know, the invisible fence, you know, that a dog has. This is what happens, you know, when you have one of those invisible fences, the dog becomes conditioned. The dog becomes trained to only go so far, then not go past that. And after a time, you can actually turn off the invisible fence, and the dog will still only go so far. And that's the way a lot of us are spiritually. We only go so far. And when God says, I want you to go to another level, a lot of us, we get to that edge, we get to that gate, and we go, I just can't. For whatever reason, because for whatever reason, we bought into the lie that we can't change. And so, in order to do what it is that God is wanting us to do, or He's speaking to us about, we go, we can't do it because we can't change. I just can't change. We bought the lie, and Satan's been lying to us the whole time, telling us that there's no way we can change. And God brings us to this edge, to the gate. And He says, here's the key. Just open the gate and walk through. A lot of us never do, because we have bought the lie that we can't change, that it's impossible for us to change. It reminds me of the story we read last night of the rich young ruler. We read it from the book of Mark. How he came to Jesus and he wants, you know, what is it I must do in order to get to the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus began to tell him things, and he's, I've done this, I've done this, and done that. And then Jesus says, but there's one thing you haven't done, my friend. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go and sell all your possessions. Give it to the poor. And he says, then you'll have treasures in heaven. And then the story goes on that the rich young ruler put his head down in sadness and walked away. Then Jesus turned around and had a discussion with his disciples. The first one I wanted to read to you today is this. It's Mark 10, verse 27. Jesus looked at them, the disciples. He looked at them intently. And he said this. Humanly speaking, it is impossible, what he just told them. Humanly speaking, it is impossible. Your situation, maybe it is impossible, humanly speaking. But Jesus says, but with God, everything is possible with God. See, your situation, it might look impossible from a human standpoint. But with God, it is possible. You see, what he's saying to us here is this: you can change. Change can happen. You can go to another level. And see, here's the thing. God's best is on the other side of the gate. And that's what he wants for you and for me. It's his best. His best is through the gate. So what are you going to do? Because a lot of you, you're standing at the gate and you're right there. You have the key. Are you going to put it in? Are you going to trust God? Put it in, open the gate, and walk through. Yeah, humanly speaking, it may look impossible. But remember the scripture we just read? With God, everything is possible. Philippians 4:13 says what? What does it say? Come on, you know it. You know it. You know, through Christ, we can do all things through Christ. So let's do it. Let's not be afraid of change. Not only technology, not only in programs and stuff. Let's not be afraid of change. Especially when it comes to ourselves spiritually. Let's not be afraid of change. Because all things are possible with God. And the great thing is, what's waiting for us on the other side is a whole lot better than what we have in our own little imposed, self-imposed, invisible prison that we're living in. So take God at his word. All things are possible with him. Glory. That's great. great news. That's exciting news. Hey, can't wait to see you guys. See you guys next Wednesday night. I love it. I love hanging out with you guys. Love being with you. It's great fun. I enjoy it. Hey, summer's almost here, man. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So, hey, come by, check us out, see what's going on, hang out with us. We love to have you.